You know, there had to be a guy whose name was Barney back in the day. And he did something during surfing that his friends said, dude, you're such a Barney. And it stuck. People use the word Barney. They still use it today. Me and my buddies are already using the word in the lineup, Toledo. Anytime somebody paddles for a wave and either backs out or doesn't, quote unquote, catch the wave, we say, dude, you full on Toledo that wave. It could be a 1-foot slop or 10-foot overhead. We use the term, it's the funniest thing now. And I think it's going to stick. I think in 30 years, that little phrase, Toledo, is going to stick like the phrase Barney has stuck today still. Dude, you full on Toledo that wave. Later, guys.
That'll be his greatest legacy.
And boom, Felipe Toledo entering the surf lexicon in a way that he did not think was possible.
Nope. But you know what? It's not a bad legacy to have. I mean, Barney wouldn't be known otherwise unless he cooked it hard and became the Barney.
Was a Barney. I mean, and I will say, with these world titles, these asterisk-laden world titles will come and go throughout history, but being an indelible part of surf culture will remain forever. Felipe Toledo, we tip our caps to you for Toledoing it.
Well done. We will start incorporating it here on the show. Congratulations.
You full on Toledo. Love it, love it, love it.
If I ever hear you starting to back off of a thought, like if you're going deep on something and then you realize, oh no, that might offend a sponsor or a friend, and you back off.
What's up? You going Toledo? You
Dude,
Toledo?
you just Toledo that topic right there. What the heck, man?
Totally.
It actually
perfect.
it goes really good because it's almost like you torpedoed that topic.
For sure.
It just has a ring to it, the Toledo.
I mean, and true, and true.
So welcome to the Grit. It's February 7th. It is 2024. Chaz Smith and David Scales. Welcome, Chaz.
Are you tired, David Lee Scales? Welcome to you. Are you tired yet of this Felipe Toledo saga?
No.
I'm not either. But here's the crazy thing. Here is the crazy thing. I've realized through this whole drama, and we're limited time here. I'm not going to get into the crazy drama. Everyone knows Philippe didn't go on a wave. He faked food poisoning. He got caught drinking a beer. I got another one too. Did you catch that same one that he was playing with paper airplanes on his lawn later?
Styrofoam airplanes.
Yeah. I mean,
throwing them in the sand and giggling like girls is what the quote was.
And the hits just keep coming. And for those who think, because there was criticism, I read across platforms, was he drinking a beer? Where'd this come from? Beach Grit, they don't know anything. Trust me, like I may not know anything, and you can throw all the dirty coals on me you want. My sources are impeccable. And there is so many people on that North Shore. And so I've been hit up like I get daily updates on what Felipe Toledo is doing, who he's with, where he's surfing, which is Rocky Point, by the way, where we should, yeah, I mean, maybe we should get into this later, but we can just get into it now, I suppose. What all that Felipe Toledo had to do to clear his sullied name, there was an epic day of pipe where pipe didn't run. Pip is out there snagging a wave or two. Boom, done, dusted. Where is Pip surfing? Rocky Point. Like
go check Italo's Instagram account to see a wave that he got a backdoor, and then check his surfboard sponsor Timmy Patterson's Instagram account to see the waves that he was getting at Pipeline leading up to the event and on the day off. He's freaking a madman, a hellman, like completely charging. He doesn't need to be out there. He's out of the event and he's charging. It would shut everybody up instantly.
I mean, completely. And that's all like, and so, yeah, poor Felipe, though, back to the point of, are you tired of this topic? The fact that we have to keep talking about it is because Felipe's camp continues to inject oxygen onto the fire unnecessarily. Like, this would have been done and dusted. You and I would be real jerks talking about this 1 week later if it was just Felipe not going and then calling out sick, right?
Yeah.
Except we have Felipe's telling everybody that, oh, I don't need to prove nothing to nobody. We have then his father, Ricardo, coming on multiple times. Like, they keep on stoking this fire,
Yeah.
which is insane. Just shut up. If you're not going to charge, shut up.
Yeah. Look, if I was a boxer and a well-respected boxer, world champ boxer, and there was some peon on the internet saying that I was a wimp, my dad would not get on Instagram to defend me and my bravado. The only reason my dad would ever feel a need to defend me publicly is if there was some element of truth as to what the attack was against me, and he saw me vulnerable and he saw me hurting due to the attack. Then your father would come in and defend you, right?
I mean,
But
it's insane.
if the attacks are baseless, you won't even address it.
I mean, and I love I mean, that's the thing. Of course, as we all do, or hopefully all do, right? We think of this in a larger context of like, so Ricardo Toledo, Felipe's dad, is out there, and for those who don't know, like defending boys, like being a sissy in multiple different ways, like you don't know, whatever, like multiple weird defenses. I was thinking, if my daughter fully pulled back on something in her life, sure, I'd comfort her and say, hey, but also you stick in blue it. If you don't want this blowback, then you got to go, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not making you do this. You don't have to do this. Like, if I was Ricardo, I'd be saying, hey, Felipe, you're the one who chose to be a pro server. I maybe wanted it or pushed it or facilitated it or whatever, but this is your journey. This is the backlash you're getting from being a wimp, and either quit or don't be a wimp. Like, it's insane to me that they think this is okay. Like, it is.
It's making it worse. It's
way worse. And like, screw you, stinking Ricardo, as a dad. Like, this is not what you do as a dad. You do not like stick your stake in on your child's failures. My Hemingway has failed a lot. She gets brutalized in her ballet pursuit, right? When she comes out after getting screamed at and weeping, I'm not there saying, "Oh, no, you are fine. You are great. Everyone else is a problem." No,
yeah.
I'd say, "Hey man, this is a tough life. If you want to quit, quit. I ain't pushing you to do this. This is what it is. It's tough. Like, either buck up or get out, right?" And
Yep.
that's what it is. Like, I can't believe that stinking Ricardo is there enabling his son's spinelessness. Shame.
Well,
Toledo, that
100%. And it's only going to create a deeper problem for Felipe as he tries to defend this title throughout the year and earn a third and earn a fourth. This is creating a huge vulnerability that I think Gabriel Medina, John, everybody else who's in contention for the title should absolutely be recognizing and seizing on. It's not just that he's afraid of big waves, it's that he's got a complete mental block, and everybody around him is pandering to him and allowing it to be a vulnerability. This is Twilsey left a comment on your recent Beach Grit article, which was entitled "Tortured Defense of Felipe Toledo Takes Hurtful Absurdist Turn." Twilsey left a comment, and then he also sent it to us via voicemail.
Son, we live in a world that has big fucking waves, and those waves have to be surfed by mad cunts with guns. Who's going to do it? You? You, JMD? We have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You weep for Toledo, and you curse the people. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know, that Toledo's self-humiliation, whilst tragic, probably saved lives. And our existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, is the measure of respect that the best of the best will and do meet. You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want us talking shit. You need us to point out what really fucking counts. We use words like charging cunt, mad cunt, good cunt. We use these words as the backbone of a life spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of coke-driven advertising money that our misinterpreted attentions provide and then questions the manner in which the people provide it. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you figure out what a world champ needs to do to earn the respect of the whole world and why not fucking going is a big fucking deal. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think the people's reaction should be.
Listeners always say it better than we can. Not going is a big deal.
And it's one of truly the best pulls from pop culture into our world. A Few Good Men, Felipe Toledo combo, Jack Nicholson screaming on the stand. Brilliant.
A few good cunts is the way that email came through. But
yep. Which is Twilsy, bravo. I don't know that I've ever seen a better mashup, to be honest.
I expect Gothic Dolphins to put that together into a little video clip.
I mean, it would be so perfect.
Another listener chimed in with an email and said, hey, on Moana Jones Wong's most recent vlog, she posted an episode about one of her worst wipeouts. She was surfing during the Vans Pipe Masters, even though she had the flu before the event and wound up having a bad fall. She got destroyed on the wave, blacked out, and couldn't remember the impact. She came to underwater and reeled in the wash for a while, possibly concussed. She didn't even go to the beach. Instead, she paddled back out and finished the heat. Once she made it out the back, she actually wondered what had even happened to her. The next day of the contest, she went out again, even though she was still effed up from the beating the day before and still had the flu. Wow, most excellent. Now, in Felipe's poo-poo touch defense posts online, he only mentions that he has his sights set on a world title, quote unquote, never admitting that he's actually saving himself to clean house at the lamest final event in recent history by flipping around on a wave that doesn't even barrel. Slater and Nathan Hedge surfing circles around him at Chopu should have been enough of a wake-up call. I would have expected him to come in praising those guys and talking about how much he learned from watching them own that heat. Instead, he sulked and pointed the finger of blame at fans for calling him out on his 0-point performance. Sadly, he makes the whole sport look bad and trivializes the contributions of the surfers who risk their lives to entertain us. And by the way, get a life-changing wave for themselves. If he gets 4 world titles, what will Mark Richard think? I bet Mark would paddle out, pack one just to show Philly how it's done, even with his bad back. Keep up the work.
I mean, in truth, Felipe was so shameful in his performance, which is fine. A bad performance is not the end of something, right? Felipe has stacked multiple of these on without ever addressing it. The way that it was addressed this last time, I feel, is the nail in his coffin. No one will ever recognize, like, surf history will move on. Whatever Ricardo and Felipe think about, we were holding the trophy, like, screw all you keyboard jockeys. Like, nope, nobody will recognize you. There'll be a blip in surf history, and who knows what happens after this. But this is it. Nobody will ever recognize Felipe Toledo. They will recognize him if he sorts his business out and goes and learns to charge. Like, the story is not done here for Felipe. And I am not a Felipe hater of, like, hating his core persona or anything. Like, don't know the dude, right? Like,
yeah.
Whatever, go. And everyone would love a redemption story of you going to actually learn something. Felipe's continual, like, not only not admitting that he's at fault here, that it's everyone else's problem. He's a champion. Screw you, keyboard jockeys. The baked in narrative now of nobody paddles out a 4-foot pipe. Who are you? Like, has nobody ever watched sport before? Like, how many playoff kickoffs, or I mean, field goals have you attempted? David Lee Scales?
0.
Yeah. And like, imagine a football kicker. For everyone who says the Bills kicker, right, got rolled. He missed his 44-yarder game ender, got absolutely rolled. Do you think he goes out and says, yeah, whatever, keyboard jockeys, you come on out here and kick a football in the playoffs. You're not kicking footballs in the playoffs. Like the arrogance and ignorant, the combination arrogance and ignorance of the Toledos is what irks beyond.
Totally. Completely agree. Well, that's the funny thing is this is the first WSL event of the season. We've been known to criticize them rightfully, I think most of the time, proven to be right with the benefit of history. But there's 3 storylines that have come out of this event so far. Despite having actually great waves on day 1, a solid round 2 for the men, there's still 3 stories that supersede those good elements. And it is obviously the Felipe story. The other one is the day that they didn't run. And then today is the third story. They ran the women today in waves that were, I care about the women. I want to see the women surf. I turn on the event. I watched 1.5 heats and I go, I'm simply not entertained. I'm not engaged in any way. I want to do this and they will not allow me to do it because they're putting crappy surf on the screen. So I'm not going to watch the women that I want to surf. Total disservice to the women.
I'm going to read a text from Gen Z. Gen Z, brilliant beach crit contributor, but also Red Bull and all kinds of stuff. She says to me, and she was bummed, right? Gen Z loves women surfing. Women surfing has been on the come up. Finally, they're at good places, charging. I mean, you know what, at Dahui, like wherever, like we've seen epic, like the growth curve is phenomenal, right? And so then we have yesterday, and Gen Z texted me and said, WSL, dodge the big day for the guys so women can compete in tiny slop. So stupid. Where that's exactly what happened. Cutting those 2 stories together. WSL dodged the big scary day where the dudes should have gone out so that the women ended up surfing in garbage. And that was a garbage day. I turned it on. It was unwatchable. It was a mockery of sport. I feel sad for any commentator in the booth who had to say anything about it. It was embarrassing. I mean, the World Surf League can't, I mean, you and I have been talking about this. It doesn't survive this season. This is piped. It can't. This is pipe. This is the first event. The storyline stacked against it. You make artificial world champions who are afraid of paddling, which Pip then goes and proves again. Fuck that dude and his family and his supporters and everyone, right? Just come on. For the love of anything good, just cop to it. That's one storyline, is a completely spineless champ, followed by then not going on the day of days, and then sending the women out in garbage. So now we have 3 major cuts against within the first week of the new 2024 season.
There's 0 leadership and 0 direction. And so I think they're just trying to make half-baked decisions by committee. And so nothing good happens. The day that was 10 feet, Monday, it was 10 to 15 foot. There was a bunch of wash-throughs. The argument that they've stated against that, and they've even interviewed the experts in the, Beach Grit, or not Beach Grit, Stab did an article where they had a couple of the experts chime in and say the reason why they would or wouldn't have run. And their argument was look, there's just not enough contestable waves. There was waves that day that were 10s for sure, but it wouldn't be a level playing field. And my response to that is they still should have run. Having
surfing.
Having 5 10-point rides throughout the course of a day is infinitely more entertaining than what they offered the women today. So if our options are we get to watch 8 hours of mediocrity where there's the biggest scores of the day are 8-point rides, or we watch an entire day of people getting detonated and then there's 5 10-point rides, there's no question you would run the big day. And that's what surfing is, that's what championship tour surfing should be, is giving people to do the best in the world an opportunity to show why they're the best in the world and why they're doing something that none of us would ever attempt to do. The day that they ran the women today, I would have surfed there.
I mean, it was shameful. And okay, if you're not going to run, right? If you make the decision that this is too dangerous, even though there has been far more dangerous days that they've run, places bigger, gnarlier, whatever. Like that wasn't like I mean, yeah, it was big and crazy and gnarly, but it wasn't like, yeah, Shane Dorian talked about a time that he went out and was just like terrified to be out there and just, whatever. Like that wasn't one of those days. It was a maxing day, but not
But also groomed, by the way.
sure.
It wasn't victory at sea. It was like
No.
there's wash throughs, but it was a freaking really good day.
Sure, but so if you're not going to do that and put the contest on, and people said this in the Beach Crit comments, turn the stinking cams on, turn the mics on, everyone's there. Have a offer up in the comments. Somebody said offer up $1,000 for the best waves ridden. Like where the World Surf League, if it was built for fans, could have built fans that day instead of them cowering and making the wrong decision on top of everything else. I mean, this Toledo story leading off, and again, I think people might think, I don't even, that's the weird thing. I don't think people do think you guys are harping on this too much. I get in trouble a lot for beating the dead horse way beyond dead horse beating is acceptable. On this one, and again, it's because everybody keeps injecting air into the room. And by everyone, I mean Toledo and his dad and his supporters. But are you kidding me? You don't get a stinking like this. The whole thing is shocking and embarrassing and shameful.
Yeah, it's because those listeners understand that the essence of surfing is confronting Mother Nature, and like big surfing is the ultimate essence of the essence. It would be the equivalent of a heavyweight boxer dodging opponents. You know what I mean? And just looking for the tomato can to fight, basically.
Yeah.
Listener, final thought is a listener chimes in on the whole food poisoning storyline.
Hey guys, I've been waiting for these 2 episodes ever since this pipe incident with Toledo. So I had food poisoning one time. It was about 3 years ago. And thank God I had tile floors in my bathroom, because let me tell you, I was at the toilet puking, and at the same time, I was shatting my pants. I had it coming out of both ends at the exact same time. Toledo didn't have food poisoning. Toledo had a bad case of the scaredies. So, not my world champ. He's Brazil's world champ, but you know what? They can have him. Keep up the work. Later, guys.
And fans are impassioned about this one.
I mean, I don't think they want him. Brazil wants him anymore, to be honest. Like the lie of food poisoning, which was not even halfway defended afterwards. Like you would have thought that from Ricardo, all these impassioned defenses of Felipe Toledo, right? Afterwards, not one of them involves he was actually sick. So, like, a priori to this, he straight up lied. He fully lied about pulling out. And there's been no more information about that. He clearly didn't have food poisoning. We both have like personal people on the ground watching him not have food poisoning. We have all kinds of other evidence, and we have zero defense on the food poisoning. Like, guys, you don't realize if that would have been leaned into, if Philippe would have come out and said, no, I was already sick out on that first heat. I was so sick that I couldn't, I had to sit with priority for 20 minutes. And then I gave it a go. I gave it my best. I was like vomiting in the lineup, even though you didn't see me vomit. I went underwater and secretly vomited. And then, that's why I had to pull out. None of this defense has even been broached since. Like it was such a clear lie. And so to lie and pull out because you got shamed and because it was going to be just as big when you had to go do your elimination, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he should honestly, to be quite fair, surf fans should drive this dude into retirement mid-season because the whole thing is so awful. Unless, again, I will say, there's always redemption, and people love the comeback story of you look 2-camera interview, Philippe, where you say, I was scared. I was so scared that I literally shit my pants. This is a problem that has been baked in for me. I've been scared of Chopu multiple times. Now I'm scared of pipeline. This is a problem I'm going to solve. follow me on my journey through betterhealth.com or
But I mean, the journey to Chopu at the
yeah,
Olympics, which
it's
he will have to confront and either double down on this story, or as a fan mentioned to me earlier, I predict an injury right before the Olympics, quote unquote, an injury, and he withdraws from that event as well. And the
yeah, and
storyline continues.
sure. I mean, because the Brazilian, you think we're rabid about this? Brazilians are more rabid about sport than we are. And no Brazilian wants a no-show from Felipe at
No,
like even if he has a decent fan base there, not one person there, not one sport like you got some weird deluded people at like Surfer Today or whatever, stinking Jake Howard. I got another Howard now to slur Jake Howard. But anybody, I mean, Jake Howard was delusional in his defense. Anybody who's defending this is straight up delusional. There is no defense.
I think they're just taking the opposite stance. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Just
but
to
if you're
have
gonna,
like an argument.
I love taking the opposite stance, but if you're going to take the opposite stance, then make a case. Nobody has even halfway made a case for this. It's
The
that he's not actually
industry,
scared, even though his dad said he is, and even though there's a track record now. There's all kind of you're beating up on this guy because blah blah blah. You can't expect him to da 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 da. Like none of it holds water. Where rarely
well,
does a counter argument not hold water at all.
it's indicative of the legacy guys in the industry who are apologists for guys they want to be friends with, brands they want to get paid from, all that sort of stuff. So that's where that is coming from, I think. Um, the other heat that somebody pointed out or reminded me of, which I remember talking to you about, it's got to be back in 2018 or so, was when they ran the event at the box and he had Jack Robinson in his heat. And he literally did the exact same thing, like pulled back on waves, had priority, wouldn't even look.
Yeah.
And Jack was sitting underneath him, just getting 8 and 10 point rides over and over again. And we had like one or two other examples that we pointed to previously where we're like, man, is he actually afraid? It had to be afraid because there's no other reason he wouldn't have gone on those waves. That was like incident number 3. And then we've had 4, 5, 6, 7. Olympics is going to be number 10.
Well, and the problem is it bakes in for him too, right? Like I think in not addressing it, like he should have addressed it at the box, should have addressed it at Chopu, should
Yeah.
have addressed it at some point, like where you just confront it. He has denied it publicly, but he's also denying it to himself. And then he has his coterie, like his dad's on the payroll, right?
Yeah.
And so his dad is there getting paid by his son, who's also like, hey man, you're like, dad doesn't want to stop this gravy train. Like, so they're pumping Toledo or Felipe up in any way they like. So now this is really baked in. Like his fear should have been confronted. It's getting worse because I feel he used to not be afraid at Pipeline. So this is a new iteration of his fear of he has gone like I've seen him surf. He never surfed pipe well. But he would paddle into, a mid-size backdoor wave there.
He never
Uh
called out of a heat before.
yeah, precisely. And so it's growing. The
Yeah.
disease is set. It's metastasis. This cancer is metastasizing in him. And where, the problem is now any kind of big, so Fiji, we're going to assume that he's going to be too chicken there. Chopu for sure, he's going to be too chicken. Where else on tour? I mean, that's it, I guess.
If they ran at the box instead of Margaret River.
I mean, they won't do that again.
No.
Like that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
But still, like the two remaining scary waves, he will chicken out on because this cancer has metastasized.
Sunset might be a third.
Yeah, but Sunset, he's won before, and it doesn't. Sunset is like
Did he
rough.
win? I don't remember him
did.
winning Sunset.
Yeah, he
Last
won.
year.
Yeah, he was champ last year at Sunset.
Good memory.
Oh, thank you. But
the thing is, they don't surf outside Sunset anymore, anyways. So
well, and also Sunset's not like Felipe's fear is specific. It is a barreling wave over shallow reef, which is not Sunset, right? Like
it's got a barrel section, and it's not over shallow reef. Really.
Precisely. Like I think Felipe is fine, and which makes his specific fear worse because he'll charge like, I mean, he's been out at Big J Bay, like, it's not a big wave problem for him. It's a very specific, like heavy wave over shallow reef is his problem.
Thick wave is the problem.
Yeah. Oh, but over shallow reef. And
Yeah.
so Sunset is like, I'm sure kid's fine getting held down. He's got a fear of the reef,
Yeah.
which is getting
Well,
worse because nobody's forcing him to address it.
exactly. Well, speaking about the end being near, I got an email from a listener about he said, big WSL story this weekend from Urban Surf. It was a QS 3000 there, apparently. I was unaware of that. He said it was an absolute shit show. Literally every last thing. There was non-WSL judges, and there was 3 of them. But if you look in the rule book, they require a minimum of 4 judges for a QS 3000. There was no answer when the judges were asked what the criteria was. Commentators did not know what the scores were. They were not relaying the scores to surfers. The wall marshal was not updating anybody on scores either. The WSL website was down, so you couldn't check scores. No one in the round of 48 finding out their results or scores. The athletes area and all decent infrastructure / shade was on the men's side only. So the women were in the sun. Women's surfing wasn't even on the broadcast until the semis, while the men on the other side were broadcast all day long. So, anyways, it was a total shit show. The end is near. Great podcast. And oh, please keep my name anonymous.
Yeah, I mean, it
So,
really is unfortunate because it was so fun. I mean, the last days, everyone, just like the last days of Eric Logan, everyone should savor this because this debacle, this embarrassment, this like weird shame. But the good part is that we surf fan, we peon, we every man and every woman get to take down a billionaire, and that's fun. Like Dirk
ooh,
Sif, screw you.
I've got an email next week. Not today. I'm going to tease it for next week about maybe his long play.
Okay, can't wait to. But until then, I will hedge on the people every time over a bloated, know nothing, got his money from his dad, billionaire.
Yep.
Ziff.
Yep. Um, Want to have more fun with Kelly Slater? We're already having fun with Felipe, but let's do it with Kelly too.
Let's do it.
Are you familiar with the phrase turtles all the way down?
No.
This is a phrase that I had heard before. Then there was a book written about it, and then a movie's coming out this year with that title. And it's a Sturgill Simpson song from about 10 years ago. I love that song. So I was familiar with this phrase. Anyways, an email came through from a listener, and he goes, look at the Wikipedia explanation of turtles all the way down. Quote, turtles all the way down is an expression of the problem of infinite regress. The saying alludes to a mythological idea of a world turtle that supports a flat earth on its back. This is all related to Kelly now. It suggests that this turtle rests on the back of an even larger turtle, which itself is part of a column of increasingly larger turtles that continues indefinitely. So the idea of infinite regress is basically an infinite series of entities governed by a recursive principle that determines how each entity in the series depends on or is produced by its predecessor. Essentially, a belief is justified because it is based on another belief that is justified, right?
Amazing.
So,
Yep.
so it's turtles all the way down. So all you got to do is get people to believe the first one, and then it's just they believe over and over and over again.
Yes. But did you believe, David Lee Scales, that Kelly Slater was going to get through the round of 32 at the Lexus Pipe Pro?
I did, for sure.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to put him on my survival team.
I know.
Thank goodness I did not.
You dodged such a bullet there.
Yes, I
I
did.
knew that you dodged a bullet right when you told me last week that you did not put Kelly Slater on.
Okay.
Kelly Slater, I will go on the record now to say, Kelly Slater, pumping surf or not, will never really win another heat again.
Another heat?
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
I'd take that bet if he said another event, but I think he could win a heat.
I like watching him at Pipe, and of course, he won round 1. That was his last heat win. Mark my words. Into the elimination. I'm sorry, not the into the round of 32.
Did he even win round one? I don't think
He did, yeah, because he went, or I mean, he may not have won, but he went into the. He probably didn't win. Now that just so
I think he didn't win. I'm going to look it up while we're talking. He could have got second and just leapfrogged.
sure, but so even more to my point, Kelly Slater will never win another heat again.
Man, okay. He got second to Jack Robinson in round
Exactly.
one.
Kelly Slater will never win another heat again.
Okay, mark Chaz's words. I'm not taking the bet, but mark it here today, February 7th. Turtles all the way down.
He'll pull out a sunset because he doesn't like sunset. He'll vaguely go to somewhere and lose or get second first round and lose elimination, or I mean, it's not happening again. The day they ran round 2 or day 2 for the men, was sure it was not the great epic day that they should have run in,
Right.
but it was not like a full-on slouch. It wasn't
was
like the
fun.
Women's Day today.
It was a fun day to watch surfing for sure. And there was great bouts.
And Slater wasn't even vaguely in the mix.
No, but Ethan Ewing looked good though.
Anyone's gonna look good compared to Slater. That dude doesn't have. He's 50. He doesn't have it. 57.
He's 73. 50 coming off of a hip injury, which is an old man's injury. You know, like the signs are there. His body is not.
Nothing against Kelly except for the fact that he didn't do the dignified thing and retire and gracefully bow out.
Like Carissa.
Yeah. Like, thank you for the laughs.
How stressed were you watching Yago?
Are you kidding? So for those who don't know, Yago Dora was my survival pick. So I watched that whole heat, the entire heat. I was ready to turn it off at 3 minutes left, knowing that Yago wasn't going to win, and thankful. I was like, Bobby Martinez in that moment, I was screw this tennis tour. I was over it. I was over surfing entirely. I was like, I'm so glad he didn't win because I don't have to pay attention anymore. Like, who cares? I will pretend to pay attention for listeners and on Beach Grit and whatever, but this is awful because it was a pretty terrible day, to be honest. Like I just said that it was contestable and fun. It was a slog to watch that day. It was like a tax on my, at least, attention span and sensibility and all of it. And so I was ready to turn it off. Turned it off. Turned it back on. Just said I want to watch Yago / me lose. I just really want a good F you surfing. Yago last second win. I go, yeah. Let out a shout at the end. Wife was like, "What are you watching?" Well, I'm back.
This is why we like Survival League, dude. Yeah. It's like I was invested in that heat in a way that I shouldn't have been. And when Yago got that wave, I felt very strongly two ways because I wanted you to lose badly.
Of course.
So that I could take your money and the 3 surfboards. But then I was so excited that you made it through, you know?
I'm through. And to be very honest, I watched the John heat and was just cheering again. If John lost, I mean, it was already a bloodbath at Survival, right? Let's be honest. I think it was last year's bloodbath at Pipe was a 60% culling something of the field. This year, I think, was in the 50s. But Seth Moniz went out. Kelly Slater went out. Gabriel Medina went out. And there was
Jack Robinson. Italo.
Jack Robinson, though, weirdly didn't have. Italo didn't even register on the thing. Like, people have gotten smart there, which I don't know how you actively bet against Italo, but there's some vibe that Italo doesn't win Pipe. Like, not that he's not a charger and not that he doesn't have the skill, but people know somehow.
They were smart. I mean, he's just a wild card with his Instagram behavior, you know, or like waiting for the vanity to kind of undercut and undermine his talent, I think is what it is.
I really squeaked through with Yago, though. I cannot believe that I'm still here amongst the living.
But you earned it because Yago's a good pick. You know, Yago's an incredible surfer, and he came through. Wasn't a fluke.
I have the full now, though. I went with a surfer I don't care about and who's not a good choice generally. Out the gate. Now, I'm starting again now at Sunset with best on best I get
Yeah.
my choice of best on best. Whoever picked Jordy in pipe for survival is cheering, even though they're bummed that they can't use them for, oh, J-Bay doesn't exist anymore. Sorry
True.
about it.
You could use him at Sunset. I mean, Sunset would be a good Jordy pick, but
Yeah.
Jordy to me has become really volatile, and I'm
I
staying
know.
away from him.
Well, the problem with not the problem with survival, with feeling good about your pick is knowing that the World Surf League is going to run in garbage or
Exactly.
likely will absolutely blow the call. And so it's not only you're picking hedging on what garbage the World Surf League is going to do, and then it's just like a sort of free for all. See like Seth going down, see like in proper pipe, Seth would have won that heat, no problem, right? Like if it was big day, you got Seth all day, every day. So if you're thinking pipe, who's the best pipe surfer? Seth Moniz. If you're thinking pipe, WSL's in charge, who's the best WSL surfer? Which is a whole nother category.
Who's the best at navigating around the poo-poo touch?
Yeah, exactly. Which is, and I think
that's a challenging
there are
question.
some which those who lost on Gabriel, I salute you, because Gabriel Medina has been, except he hasn't. Gabriel Medina lost his mojo at some point. Like, or he still has mojo, like him dropping in day one on whoever,
Yeah.
stuffing Callum was like, yeah, that's like the Gabriel cutthroat thing. But Gabriel doesn't have like the will to win anymore. So
Right.
who is able to play the dumb, and by dumb I mean stupid World Surf League game?
Felipe Toledo, generally, other
I
than at
mean,
big barreling waves.
I'm gonna probably pick Philippe at Sunset, to be honest. Except
Yeah.
for I feel that Philippe might be so broken from this. I'm gonna take a wait and see. I think this actually might have Felipe coming face to face with his own spinelessness, and again denying it, is there's going to be a major malfunction in like Felipe Toledo is going to be found in 5 years in Minnesota drinking lagers at the bar. I used to surf once.
Doing wave pool competitions.
There's going to be something weird because
appearance fees.
you cannot deny. At some point, you have to say, I mean, AA and all of it, right? You have to say there is a problem. You have to recognize the problem is always the first step. You don't recognize the problem, you end up dead on fentanyl, Felipe Toledo.
You know what's going to be the problem is when he's in that bar or in the meeting addressing the problem is that I'm afraid of waves. The next question that they're going to ask is, why is there a lion tattooed on your chest?
Yeah. No. I mean, like weirdly, he has almost covered it with a circuit board, it looks like. And so I feel the next step is he's going to cover the lion with like a computerized something rather else, like where that won't exist anymore either. He will, yeah, he's got nothing. Sees but you're welcome, Minnesota, for the gift of Felipe Toledo.
I blame Eric Logan in the WSL. They did this to Felipe.
And Toby Keith.
Yeah. So tools, Veyor watches, bringing us our next segment. I mean, this is really, I have more listener inquiries for advice than I possibly have time to read. So thank you, Veyor watches, for making this happen for us.
Do we need to do a whole separate podcast where you and I just sit back and answer advice questions, life advice with David Lee Scales and Chaz Smith?
We should actually have a column in the Surfer's Journal, or better yet, Surfing World magazine. Like
do you think
Dear Abby kind of thing.
Do you think our dear what's his name? Best surf journalist alive.
Sean.
That's who it is. Sean Doherty would give us a column?
Absolutely, yeah.
You think he would give us a Ask David and Chaz?
You know what? I don't want to defile the good pages of the glossy Surfing World's legacy. It's 60 years running. We don't need to soil it now. But, you know, I'd be willing to if they'd want us. But anyways, if you guys need a copy in the US, I've got it here in my hand. It's on surfing. In the US, it's on surfsplendorpodcast.com. I am distributing it in the US for Surfing World. If you're elsewhere in the world, just go to their website and buy it direct. But if you try to buy it in the US, you'll have to pay some exorbitant shipping. They ship me about 40 issues, and then I just we all benefit from the lower shipping cost, and I can mail them to you directly for $20 cover price. So pretty cool.
I mean, can't beat that deal. How quick do you sell out typically?
Within a month, I'd say, within
Yeah.
a couple of weeks. It depends if I promote it. There's sometimes I forget to even promote it, but yeah, within a couple of weeks. Tools to live by, presented by Veyor Watches, DLS and Chaz. I need advice. Over 6 months ago, I won an Instagram surfboard giveaway with a pretty big clothing brand. If you're, I'm not one to enter Instagram contests because A, I think they're kind of kooky, barrel or not, by the way, and B, does anyone actually win those things? Well, I'm going to keep the clothing brand anonymous, but I won it. They congratulated me. They asked me for my address and said, we'll go ahead and pack this up and update you with the shipping as soon as it's ready. After not hearing back for a couple of months, I reached back out to them and nothing, ghosted. I took the L and I moved on, but it occurred to me, the guys at the Grit would know what to do. I've been a long time, it's been a long time, so I don't know if there's anything that I could even do about it now, but maybe it would help others in the future with your advice. Also, I don't know if the surfboard shaper was ever aware that his board never made it to me because it looked like it had already been shaped and the board was already in their possession. But I thought about messaging the shaper and then decided against it. I didn't want to put this on him since he wasn't the one organizing the actual contest. Anyways, should I do my damnedest to get this board, or our Instagram contest the laughing stock of the internet? Keep work, Sean.
I'll tell you one Instagram contest that's not a laughing stock. The boards you can win right here, David Lee Scales.
Exactly.
We pick boards, pick winners. You do. And as far as I can tell, you deliver those boards.
Well, I put the listener in contact with the shaper themselves, and the shaper does get the board to that person. So we have no problem delivering on the goods. But if we did not, would it be reasonable of the listener to take it public and blast them? I mean, obviously he reached out to the clothing company, presumably a couple of times, and they ghosted him.
So the problem here, I feel I need more. Usually in my almost, I'm going to say 100% pristine advice, I have all the information I need. Here, I don't quite. If this was any major clothing brand of any note that anyone would know, then it's your duty to blast them, to absolutely roast them for it, to publicly roast them, to send it to Beach Grit and have me roast them for you. All of this. If it's like a small startup who was trying to get market share and then the bros who were involved ran out of money and then, whatever, then that's a whole other thing. That's an L for everyone. You're taking the L, they're taking the L, everyone's L's all around. But if this is a legit brand, and or specifically, I'm going to say, if this is one of Authentic Brands Group's holdings, if this is one of
a corporation,
exactly, then it's go time. Let's go. And you have a friend in me. I am the dog in your fight for anything. Like maybe your Instagram, right, is small and whatever. You don't have the clout. Not that I have the clout, but I at least have a platform. Anyone who has been aggrieved, I won't go after a small upstart thing. They're just doing their best, right? And just couldn't deliver on a promise. But if this is a big conglomerate, even if it's Patagonia, if it's if it's anyone of note, come ye to me.
Perfect.
I am your friend.
That is the solution. Because I also am apprehensive to advertise things like this because the onus could be on the listener. Like maybe the listener failed to respond in a timely fashion. Yeah, tick the box, whatever. But this listener, I think, clearly did, so much so that he's then taking the initiative to reach out to us to ask our opinion. He seems pretty diligent. So let's presume he ticked all the boxes and won it fairly and squarely, and then followed up as he stated, and they just straight out ghosted him. Now it's within reason to put them on blast. but it's undignified to do it on Instagram, or just like you need a bigger pulpit. And so
Yep.
Beach Grit is that pulpit. And so I agree with also what you said. Whereas if it was Banks Journal, for example, who went
Sure.
out of business, and you could see they offered the contest, they had all this difficulty, they went out of business. What are you going
Stuff
to do?
happens.
Shame them now? Yeah, there's can't
No.
get blood from the turnip anyways. Yeah, and stuff happens. And presumably he didn't spend any money on this contest, so there's nothing lost. But if it's disorganization within the company, or somebody intentionally trying to skirt you, or maybe the contest organizer kept the board themselves, waxed it up, their boss will never be none the wiser, and you're just this lowly Instagram peon that they are taking advantage of. No. They need to be put on blast in that scenario.
Exactly.
So,
And I am your dog in this fight. Like I got enough where this can go out and rectification will happen.
exactly. So reach out, reply to my email, Sean, and let us know the details here. And if you need the bigger dog to get in the fight. And I will also say Instagram giveaways are not lame. And in fact, one Veyor watches sponsoring this very segment, and Chaz's and I, my wrist.
My wrist right now.
Exactly, mine too. They want to give us some watches to give away. So we're going to figure out the best way to give them away. And we'll incentivize you guys to engage. I mean, it's all about engagement. Get listeners to engage, and then we'll give them a watch. So we will figure that out and do that in the near future. But until then, thank you, Veyor Watches, veyorwatches.com. Chaz, there was also a wine-related advice inquiry that came in. Would you like to hear that one?
Sure would.
Maybe I could take the lead on that.
You sure should.
I turn the volume down.
I'm in a little bit of a predicament here.
Turn the volume down to eliminate the text messages that come through, and then forget to turn it up for these guys.
David, Chaz, I'm in a little bit of a predicament here. I've been invited to an event, and I'm a bit of a, a recluse? I like to spend time by myself. Anyway, I need some advice, and I didn't know where to go, and then I thought, hell, these two guys, David being a wine snob, well, not snob, but an aficionado, and Chaz being a social butterfly, I figure you can help me out. So, here's the situation. I'm invited to a friend's house, in a very nice house, for Chinese New Year's. The last time I was there was for Christmas the year before, and I brought a bottle of En Route Pinot Noir and a Walt Pinot Noir, two very nice Pinots, mid-range, like $50 a bottle, and I figured we could compare. Now, my friend who's hosting, he enjoys wine and has a great palate and a great nose, so I wanted to talk about the wines. They had plastic, stemless wine glasses. So here's my predicament. I'm going to go. I'm thinking about bringing a bottle of Tiganello. Do I bring stemware, or do I bring a cheap bottle? I don't know which way to go. Which is more insulting? Which is more enlightened? I need your help, boys. I'm counting on you. Keep up the work. Aloha.
Man, I've been in this exact situation before.
Okay. So real quick, is his question how to insult the host more?
I don't think that's the question. I think it's how to not insult the host and still contribute a great wine, but have it be imbibed properly.
If the question is how do you insult the host most, it is for sure bring your fine bottles with two glasses, two
Correct.
of your own pieces of stemware, right? But if that's not it.
So I don't think that insults the host so much as it does make you look like a douche to everybody else in the party.
If you go up to the host and say, hey, I brought these wines, I want them to try, and look over at his plastic stemware. I mean, plastic stemware, let's be honest, and let's, for the record, state, serving guests out of plastic is fine in let me count the ways. You've got a 4-year-old birthday party, plastic fine. You have a beer pong thing and
That's
you're
it.
in college. Great. That's it. Like if you were an adult, male or female, hosting a party, then you stinking serve glass stemware. Like that's it.
Well, so I think the caveat here that he didn't state, because it is somebody who likes wine, so they presumably have nice stemware, and it's a nice house, which he stated. They presumably have nice stemware. It's a big party. So let's say there's 30 people, they don't have 30 stems. They simplify it by doing plastic.
Except for I'm no rich man, David Lee Scales. I've thrown parties before where like I have crates of stemware, accidental stemware in the garage that mine may never get used again, right? Because you do this, they're like $2 a glass or something. And this is for glass that's not maybe the fanciest crystal, or clearly not the fanciest crystal, but decent. It's not like this is an expense issue. And also better for the environment.
So maybe it is, maybe it would insult the host then. I won't die on that hill. But my advice to our listener, absolutely do not bring the stemware. I think we can agree on that, because that will offend or it will make you look like a douche. Bring the bottle of Tignanello that he's questioning whether or not he should bring. His efforts, he felt, were underappreciated in the past, maybe. But here's what matters is that it's an investment in your future. That dude who's hosting the party likes wine and appreciates, he'll see that bottle and he'll appreciate that you like wine. He now recognizes you as somebody who likes wine. So he will then open a good bottle of wine for you next time he sees you. Even if it's not the Tignanello that you bring to the party, you don't even get to taste that. It's your contribution just to enter that upper crust where now this guy's going to open good wine with me whenever I'm around.
Except for bro is serving wine in plastic cups at his party.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll be honest with you. Even though I've said the exact opposite here on the podcast and said that I'm, a snob when it comes to glasses. See, I told you I forgot to turn the volume down after that. It's also a baller move just to drink, the best stuff out of whatever vessel is around. You know what I mean? Like it's preferred to drink it out of stemware for sure. But if you bring the bottle of Tignanello and that guy's willing, he knows what it is, and he's willing to drink it out of crappy glassware, what that really means is he's willing to drink good wine out of crappy glassware. Guaranteed, he has stemware, and that's where the great wine goes. And you want to be around when he opens the great wine. So if he's willing to do good wine out of crappy stemware, you're in for a good treat later.
I'd hope, except we live in a brave new world where we have Felipe Toledo's denying the facts and the truth, and we have super rich dudes who are just too cheap to buy stemware and will also too cheap to have good taste.
You remember that it was like one of the final scenes in Sideways where the wine that he had hyped in the beginning of the movie and throughout the movie was this special, it was a 61 Cheval Blanc. And he ends up drinking it in a greasy burger joint out of styrofoam, right?
Yep.
And to be honest, those are some of the best wine experiences. Like all of the pomp and circumstance serves a purpose, but it also in some ways makes it too much pomp and too much circumstance so that you can't fully appreciate just the simple pleasures of it.
But let's please not call drinking out of a glass pomp and circumstance. Let's not kick glassware into, and it doesn't have to be a like fruity, beautiful flute or whatever. Like I love nothing more, those like little French water glasses. Like,
oh yeah, just like a little,
yeah,
like a bigger than a shot glass kind of.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
where I drink my wine
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. But glass versus plastic on the lip is an entirely different world. Let's be frank and fair about that.
I've argued that as well. I fully agree, but I have a flip kind of entirely opposite argument, which is our caller showing up with 2 bottles to a party. By the way, the host is busy. The host is entertaining everybody, and you showing up with 2 bottles of $50 Pinot, wanting to taste the side-by-side nuance difference, and wanting the host to participate in that game with you, wrong environment, wrong place. You know what I mean? Like, but the bottles, still bring the bottles, just don't expect the social interaction of any of it. And like I said, bring the bottle of TIG to the next party, but it's your contribution. It's your investment to the host. It's an investment in your future to drink good wine with that host, but don't expect to get into a pontificating about the wine and expecting somebody else to engage in that. And that's also kind of pretentious to try to do that anyways.
I hear you there, but host is clearly, obviously a kook out of the gate for serving plasticware.
What if he surfs really good?
Then he's not a kook anymore. Then he rips.
All is forgiven. So anyways, good luck with that. I don't know if we gave you proper advice or not. Contribute the wine. Don't expect anything from it, I guess is my advice. Okay, let's go to commercial break and we will come back with a, what is this? This is a listener chiming in. Oh yeah, listener chiming in, that a bunch of listeners, a topic that everybody chimed in on, and then we'll have Barrel or Not to close it out. All right, Chaz, hot feedback discussion from 2 weeks ago. Hi, David and Chaz. In the name of surf journalism, I thought it would be worth making a correction to your comments on Carla Bruni.
Okay.
Carla Bruni was married to former French President Nicolas Sarkozy.
I knew that.
Not the late disgraced former Prime Minister of Italy, Silvio Berlusconi. I'm sure the former First Lady would appreciate you clarifying the distinction.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. And
I got more DMs about this than anything else.
I mean, great. And when you said Berlusconi, and I agreed, I was like thinking that wasn't Berlusconi. I knew it was French. She's French. It was French. Everything was French. But we can at least move past that shame. You and I take our own advice, look in the mirror and say, shameful, a shameful bit of bad behavior. But let's not also forget that Sarkozy's brother, was married to one of the Olsen twins for a time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. The Sarkozys are cleaning up. I don't know. Who can tell the difference between Mary-Kate and Ashley?
I'm a big fan of Elizabeth myself.
No, it definitely wasn't Elizabeth. Elizabeth is the better actor of the 3, but it was one of the twins. But they're divorced now.
Elizabeth just looks healthier too.
Yeah, and she's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the other two are like such peak. Who would have ever thought? And I will tip my eternal cap to both Mary-Kate and Ashley. Who would have thought the Full House girls would have become fashion dominant? I mean, not weird, oh yeah, it's these weird celebrity girls who are on a 80s show, 90s show, whatever, who are I guess doing fashion. Not only is their label, The Row, epic and spotless. Have you ever looked at it?
No.
It is their cut and design. It is best in class. And then them being fashion icons for the last 20 years of front row, heroin skinny, just dead eyes sitting there taking it in. Tip my cap and good on one of you for marrying Carla Bruni's ex-husband's either son or brother. And then divorcing him.
So that was a reflection of a boozy evening show, by the way. That slip up. I knew it was Sarkozy. I made a mistake, but there's a phenomenal Paulo Sorrentino film called Loro about Berlusconi.
Seen it.
It's so good.
It is so good.
Highly recommend that. And it kind of went under the radar, surprisingly. Okay, Barrel or Not, now that we've got that cleared up. Repeating an epic joke until someone hears it. I had this quandary during the pipe event and the live chat endless scroll on YouTube. Sometimes you have a really great or really funny comment, but it gets lost in the quick moving comment feed. No one responds to it or seems to appreciate it. The only way your awesome comment is able to be seen is if you copy and paste it several times. Funny if someone sees it once, cringy if someone sees that you posted it over and over. So Barrel or Not, repeating an epic joke until someone hears it.
This right here, David Lee Scales is the essence of my humor. Of funniness comes in through repetition. So I am all barrel on, you don't stop twice and like cringe about it, like, oh no, I'm saying this joke again. No, no, no. You go all in for days on this thing. You copy and paste it everywhere. You like, that's people, you push it. I've pushed jokes personally through so many iterations of pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. Nobody thinks it's funny. Pushing it enough where people say, oh, ha, ha, ha. Pushing it, pushing, pushing it where they say, you're super lame for doing this.
Mm.
Pushing it until it's funny twice and thrice of like repetition is comedy barrel.
Yeah, you got to get through attempts 7, 8, 9, and then when you get to 10, it's extra hilarious.
And just keep going and going and going and going. You go until you're tired of it, and then you finally pull back, but never care about the listener.
This would be a great time to drop I like turtles. Because that'll only get funnier.
I mean, precisely.
So I had a friend. It was like in high school or something. He and I were really good friends. Kind of really got into surfing together, actually. That was our initial thing. But he was a lot more boisterous than I was, and I was kind of meek personality. But I'd like to think I had a better sense of humor. So we'd be in a group environment and I'd like lay out a joke, but nobody would hear it. But he heard it because he's my best friend. And then because he's boisterous, he would raise his voice and deliver the joke and everybody would laugh. And I would just sit there and I'd just slink back a little bit and get real pissed at him.
Yeah, but good for him. And I
I
hope
know.
that he told it like 20 more times that night.
I know. Okay, Barrel or Not came in a couple of nights ago. Nights, important to note. And the title said, header on the email said, Negroni alternatives, Barrel or Not. And I opened up the email and it said, Amaro instead of Campari, Mezcal Negroni, Chartreuse, Cynar, Montenegro. I'll drink it all, whatever you say. Favorite Negroni recipe? Question mark, work. And then 5 minutes later, a follow-up email came through and said, I sent that to the wrong email address. Here it is. And he forwarded the same exact email to the same exact email address. And it said, I sent this to the wrong account. Sorry, the gin is flowing.
Perfect.
Both emails came to the correct account. Nothing was a mistake, but the gin was
that should
flowing.
be too for a Negroni question. But to his point, any pivot off the classic Negroni is a no barrel. That it might be a fine drink, but a Negroni with mezcal, no. Like there are certain things that are sacred. Like people think of maybe me as a boozer, just sloppy, drinking anything. I know Kitty Dukakis. Like there is sacredness in this, right? The Negroni with its gin, with its Campari, with its triple sec. Just kidding. There's no triple sec in that.
Red vermouth, sweet vermouth.
Exactly. Is a perfect drink in and of itself. Any other iteration of that, you can call it now, the Patron Negroni or something. You can use the name. I don't care. But that's not a Negroni is gin, Campari, vermouth. Like that's it. It is a perfect drink. Go invent another cocktail and call it something else all day, every day.
Agreed. Nailed it. This is exactly how I felt. There's food recipes you can adulterate, alter, and it's still it's the same dish, basically. It's just like a little spin on it. Cocktails are precise. It is more chemistry than it is cooking. It's more baking than it is cooking. And when you have like a really perfectly made cocktail, it is light years better than a slightly less than perfectly made cocktail. Like it just is.
So true.
It's otherworldly versus just like, oh, this is drinkable, And it comes down to just a drop of something more or less. And so, yes, a proper Negroni is among the best cocktails. The thing that you missed in the ingredient list was an orange peel, by the way.
Orange peel, sorry.
Because I go without the orange peel all the time when I'm making making them at home because I'm lazy. But you need it. It makes a difference. The little bit of orange is a game changer. But yes, you can make an a very fine cocktail with another ingredient, but it is no longer a Negroni.
You're
So
making
Negroni
your
is a Negroni.
Yep, you're off piece, doing your own thing. Not that that's bad. Go experiment. Go. That's how the Negroni, I'm sure, got made. The Negroni did not exist for all
Right.
time, right? Somebody goofed around with something and then came up with this perfect thing. You go make your own perfect thing, but it's
Yep.
not a Negroni.
Yep, exactly. All right, we're on the same exact page. No barrel on Negroni alternatives. Thank you for the boozy email. Final barrel or not, almost in relation to the earlier listener call, paper plates.
Oh, okay. I'm going to put an over under on this one. It might be the first over under barrel or not we've ever had. House party over 20, barrel. House party under 20, no barrel.
So no barrel on paper plates if you're under 20?
If there's under 20 people at your
Oh, I
house,
thought
you
you were
better
okay.
have enough, like,
Yeah.
you better be able to do enough dishes and or have the enough dishes for 20 people, right?
Yeah.
Once it goes over 20, then I fully get the, whatever. You got to do what you got to do, except for I will hold firm on you don't serve good booze from plastic, right?
Right.
If you're over 20 and you're paper plating, then barbecue vibe, have the Yeti cooler out there filled with cans of whatever, right? You can have your cheaper white wines on the table with your plastic cups, whatever. But that's it.
I got to an age in my life where it seemed like everybody around me was using paper plates on the reg. Like they would, if maybe it was Christmas, you bust out the nice dishware or even just regular dishware. But it was like regular dinners going over to somebody's house, a little dinner party, and they were serving paper plates. And I'd be like, are you guys out of your mind? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even own a paper plate in my
Yeah.
house. And it's not even an environmental issue. It's just that dishes are not difficult to do. And using a plate that is not flimsy, like anything worth eating can crumple a paper plate, right? And I don't want to have to deal with that. And so I don't understand the idea behind it.
I mean, I understand the, hey man, we got such a herd coming over tonight that it's going to take like a couple days to do these dishes and just don't have the, or at least like a good couple hours. Don't have that in it. Like, don't have that capacity. So we're going to paper plate, we're going to throw everything away, easy cleanup, done and dusted. But it's like a real specific party too, right? It's like a party that you're not really caring about a bunch of people.
being
Yeah,
delivered
it's
or
like
something. Yeah.
like you get a bunch of fried chicken. It's one of those things. If you're like, if there's care and thought into the meal, no paper plate, full stop. If it
Yeah.
is a pizza, chicken, tri-tip, barbecue, whatever, dinner, paper plate it up if it's over 20.
Dude, I cannot. I've been to occasions where there is tri-tip or some sort of steak, and they serve you a paper plate and a plastic fork and knife.
You're done.
It's like, are you guys kidding me? I got to start carrying a pocket knife now,
Yeah,
just so I can cut my steak. So I'm going no paper plate, full stop,
I like it.
regardless of the number of people.
I
But
like that. I'm still going over under 20, but
I'm
also
sticking.
very dependent on the food you're serving.
All right. Well, we're divided yet again. We can never find harmony here, Chaz, but
Nope.
you know what? We'll keep trying week after week.
We will.
All right. Thank you, Felipe Toledo, for keeping us in business on the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thanks, Felipe.
We appreciate
Keep on
that.
being a giant pussy.
We cannot wait to see what happens at sunset. Thank you, listeners, for providing us endless opinions, comments, commentary, content to repurpose here on the show. Thank you, Beach Grit, for covering all the news that's fit to print. And thank you, of course, Veyor Watches and drinkag1.com/surf.
And also the dear subscriber to this show. You
Can't thank
are
you
the
enough.
backbone of surf culture at this point. There's no surf culture except for you.
Exactly. We did not encourage them to subscribe enough last year, but this year they've been hitting it hard. They want to win that EXO Coco board from Matt Parker. So we're
And
going
we
to give that away on March 1st.
cannot wait to get into the dynamics of, is it better to give or receive on that one?
I can't wait either. Next show.
Yep.
Tease it. All right, Chaz, until next week.
Keep work.
All right. Thank you, sir.